made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed, and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. Somebody say, uh-oh. Verse 10, the Jews therefore said unto him that was cured, Is it the Sabbath day? It is the Sabbath day. It is not lawful for thee to carry thy bed. He answered them, He that made me whole, the same said unto me, Take up thy bed and walk. And then asked they him, What man is that which said unto thee, Take up thy bed and walk? And he that was healed wist not who it was, for Jesus had conveyed himself away, a multitude being in that place. And afterward Jesus findeth him in the temple, and saith unto him, Behold, thou art made whole. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come unto thee. And the man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus which had made him whole. Thank you. I just want to use for a thought this morning, as the Spirit allows. Only as long as the Spirit allows. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. I want to use for thought this morning, sick and tired of being sick and tired. When you're at that point in your life, and somebody knows what I'm talking about when I even gave the text today. Some of us in here today feel like I feel on certain issues concerning your life. You're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. But the first evidence of being sick and tired is first realizing that you're sick. You got some people in here that don't want to acknowledge the fact that they got some issues. And really everybody in here got something going on in their lives. Because if you didn't, there wouldn't be a need for you to have Jesus. You know, Jesus is the reason why we go down on our knees, because there's some matters in our lives that we can handle, but then there's some matters that are tailor-made for Jesus, which means it's important to have a good relationship with him. Therefore, when you're at that point, you can go down on your knee. And then you ain't even got to do that. In fact, you can just start walking in the house and call on his name. And somebody in here today knows that prayer still works. In fact, when you got up this morning, you couldn't help but tell him thank you for allowing you to sleep all night long last night. And then waking you up this morning. You didn't do anything to deserve it, but listen, he did it anyhow. Somebody ought to be thankful. And just because of your thankfulness, you just had to call on God and tell him how much you appreciate everything he's done. It's good to have a relationship with the Lord. But it's also good to acknowledge that you yet still have some fault, even in your relationship with him. Thus, gotten to the point that you just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Because this text really deals with an individual who had been in a condition, the text says, a long time. In fact, 38 years, which leads me to believe that he hadn't always been in that state. Because you remember the blind man that Jesus healed, who was blind from birth? The text let us know that he was blind from birth and that he had done nothing wrong, but it was just the will of the Father that he be born blind, that in due season he would yet see again, or he would yet see. But this one in the text today, this particular individual today, we get a specific number as to how long he's been in this situation, which leads me to believe that he hadn't always been in this state. And I'm talking to somebody this morning who hadn't always been where you are. You hadn't always had to deal with what you're dealing with now. But yet and still the truth remains. It's at your house. It's in your room. It's on your mind. It's on your job. In other words, it showed up. It's there. It's a reality. There ain't nothing you can do about it but turn it over to the Lord and leave it there. How many here today dealing with some stuff that you didn't ask for? You didn't want it. You didn't really want it to happen to you, but yet it just showed up anyhow. Sometimes God allows certain things to happen to let us know that we yet still need him every day and every hour. Oh, they said it like this: I need thee. Oh, how I need thee every hour. I need thee. Oh, bless me now, my Savior. I've come to thee. How many know that it's a good thing to yet be in contact with Jesus? Because when certain things are happening in our lives, it's good to have somebody you can call on in your time of need. You didn't ask for this, but one day it showed up. You didn't ask for this, but it came to your house. You didn't ask for this, but it showed up on your job. You didn't ask for this, and it showed up in your church. You didn't ask for this, but it showed up in your husband. You didn't ask for this, and it showed up in your wife. You didn't ask for this, but it showed up in your children. Listen, some things happen that you didn't ask for, but God sometime allow it to happen. So, but Jesus, text says, knew it already. So don't forget the fact of the matter that whatever you're going through, he already knew. He knew when it was going to happen before it happened. And so if he knew when it was going to happen before it happened, it's quite evident he must have a solution to the problem. So don't ever forget the fact that whatever you're going through, if God knew what was going to happen before it happened, quite certainly he ought to have the solution to whatever I'm going through in my life. That's what I come to tell you today. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what time it showed up. I'll let you know this morning that there is a God that knows exactly when to show up. And somebody here this morning know that whenever God shows up, I wonder if he ever showed up in your life. Whenever God show up, things have to fall in line because he's an on-time God, but he's also a righteous God. And whatever you got to do to get it in line, I come to tell you he'll do it. But when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's really God's way of bringing you to that thought and that consciousness in your mind. It's not just you, it's God have brought you to that consciousness in your mind that you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Listen, this person was so tired of being in this state that he, every time he got close enough, and I remember, I just can imagine in 38 years, at some point in time, he got real close. But every time, for 38 years, every time he got close enough to get to the troubled water, somebody beat him to it. And somebody been looking at somebody else's life. Try to base your life on what God is doing for somebody else. And I want to tell you today, my brothers and sisters, listen, whatever God has for you, it's for you. In fact, can I just go a little further? How do you know it's for you? For you is the fact that it's got your name on it. And whatever's got your name on it, nobody can get it but you. God has a blessing for you. He has one for you. He has one for you, and everyone, he has a blessing for you. But the only reason that you need to know that can't nobody receive your blessing is because God specifically has every blessing for you with your name on it. Not only that, don't worry about what everybody else got. Don't worry about what's happening with everybody else's life. Don't worry about what's going on with them right now. Don't worry about what they got. Listen, it's just like going through a drive-through. See, when you place your order through the drive-through, listen, you can't get what's in the next, you can't get the order of the person that's sitting before you. What you got to do is when you go through the drive-through, if there's somebody in front of you, they've already placed their order. And so you have to wait to place your order after they place their order. And once you place your order, then you go in line with the one that's already placed their order. Now you need to understand, you can't get in a hurry, you can't rush, you can't wait. You got to stay in line and wait for your turn to come, because you can't get what was for somebody else, because you don't even want what anybody else has, because you know what you want because you've already ordered it. That's why it's good for you to just stay in your place. Don't try to go over anybody. Don't try to go around nobody, but stay in your place, because listen, ultimately, I don't care how far, how long the line is, ultimately you're going to get to the front of the line. And when you get to the front of the line, I need some front of the line folk that's waiting to get there. Listen, God going to give you just what you asked for. Somebody here this morning need to know, even though it didn't happen today, I come to share with you, you next in line. Oh, you need to tell somebody, I may not have it right now, but oh, I'm next in line. Do I have it next in line? Folk, just stay in the line. He was in the way. He was in the way because the text says that Jesus showed up, which means he was in the way. He stayed in the path. And Jesus showed up and asked the question, what is it that you want me to do? He said, I want to walk. Two things you got to understand. First of all, you got to get your mind right. You got to realize this person's been in this state for 38 years. Look who he's around. He's around folk that lame, impotent, some that withered, some with the palsies, all kind of condition, and all kinds of sickness. And he really got to get his mind right. Because really, if you, listen, one thing you got to understand, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, what it's really saying is ultimately you need to start making some changes. Listen, you'll always be sick and tired of being sick and tired if you're not willing to make a change. Be careful, because watch this now. He could have been delivered long before now, but the fact of the matter is, for 38 years, he been hanging around some folk that's waiting on the troubling of the water. When he could have went down on his knees and said, Father, I stretch my hand. Listen, be careful who you hang around. Be careful who your prayer partner is. Everybody you praying with ain't praying for you. They praying against you. Be careful who you call your brother and your sister, because everybody that love you don't really love you. Be careful who you associate yourself with, because for 38 years he been associating himself with folks that really wasn't worried about doing anything but waiting on the troubling of the water. That's why young folk, let me tell you something. I know it's good to ride. And I used to ride when I was a young boy too. But let me tell you, be careful how you ride. There's some danger out here now. Be careful how you ride. I pray for you daily. Not only boys, but boys and girls. Let me tell you, I pray for you daily, because there are some folk who are fearful of us. And we've been stereotyped to be a certain way or to act a certain way. And so folks are scared of us. And there's some folk that are so scared that they just soon to kill you than to find out what your name is. So be careful how you ride. Make sure when you ride that you ain't riding dirty. Because see, riding dirty gives them a reason to pull you over. Be careful now. Be careful how when you roll down the window that ain't no scent coming out that gives them reason to search your car. Listen, make sure when you ride that you're riding with some folk that ain't riding dirty, but make sure you're riding right, and ain't nothing they can do to you. See, you have to be careful, because association can really mess you up. Who you hang with can really mess you up. Can I give you some real good stuff? Real good. Because I love my family. Love my mother, I love my brothers. But there are some things that, me and my brothers don't agree on. And so I ain't going to just roll with my brothers just because they my brothers. Because at the end of the day, me and my brothers ain't going before God. I got to go before God all by myself. And I love my brothers. In fact, I give up my life for my brother. But one thing I ain't going to do anything that's against the will of God just to make my brothers happy. Sometimes you have to get rid of family just to get where God would have you to be. That's a part of making change too. Sometimes family hold us back. Preach, Reginald Currie, I am. We find ourselves being more loyal to our families, mother and father, sister and brother, than we are to God. But God says he don't want us to be part-time lovers, but he wants us to love him with our whole heart. But out of tradition, not a religion, we'll put others before God. Association can mess you up because you got to realize whoever you associate, association brings on assimilation. In other words, we do as the Romans do. If you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. We riding out, if everybody else doing it, I don't want to be the one that ain't doing it, so I'm going to do it anyway. Anybody ever been stuck in that situation to where you were with some folk that really doing some stuff that you didn't really want to do, but because they were doing it? And I ain't talking about riding around drinking and smoking. They doing that all day, any day. But how about all this gossiping? You didn't want to gossip, but since they started gossiping, you found yourself gossiping too. So be careful that your association don't bring on assimilation. Find yourself doing things that you don't even normally do, but you're doing it just because they doing it. That's right. Come on now, say that. Because assimilation can also halter your elevation. Yes, sir. Come on now. I know you're trying to get higher, but you can't take everybody with you. Everybody ain't going where you going. Everybody's not going to be where you're going to be. There's some folk you got to leave behind, and you'll never get there trying to bring them with you because they ain't nothing but dead weight. You ever had any dead weight? The more you pull it, the further back you get, and you never seem to get where you want to go because you put in a lot of dead weight. And we've been rolling for years, but there come a point in time that even though you've been rolling for years, there come a point in time you got to cut the cord. And it don't mean you love them any less, but you're trying to go somewhere, and you can't get there bringing folks that ain't going. Preach again, Reverend Currie. I'm doing the best I can. He didn't have to be in this state for 38 years, but he was hanging around the wrong folk. And he got comfortable in this situation that even though he didn't get there, he just decided he'd wait around till the water get trouble again and hang around these same folk and never got what he really needed. Not only that, but then you have to realize not only does assimilation affect your altitude, but you got to realize your attitude will also affect your attitude, your altitude. You got to realize your attitude will affect your altitude. In other words, if you ain't got the right mindset, when you make this decision that I've got to make a change, if your mind is not right, change is not going to happen. And so the text says that Jesus approaches him and asks him, "What will thou have me do?" He says, I really, the thing about it, he said, "I really want to walk again." He says, "Well, what's the problem?" He said, "What's the problem?" He says, "Well, I don't have anybody to help me to get in the water. Because every time the water get trouble, those that got good legs, they get up and start running. Because, some just had disease and there wasn't nothing wrong with their leg, but he had some problem with his legs. He couldn't quite get there in a timely manner, and he didn't have anybody to help him. You got a lot of folk waiting on somebody to help them. Yes, sir. Come on. Got a lot of folk. I knew it'd get quiet in here then. You got a lot of folk, especially church folk, waiting on somebody to help them. When in reality, all they got to try to do is help themselves. Because not one time did he say, "I tried." He said, "I tried." Not one time did he say, "I tried to get." He said, "Listen, I don't have anybody to help me get there." And every time water gets troubled, somebody beat me. Jesus says, if that's the only problem, he says, we ain't got to wait till the troubling of the water. He says, it's as simple as you getting up, taking up your own bed, and walking. In other words, he says, you ain't got to wait for the troubling of the water. if you really want to walk, you can do it right now. And you don't need anybody's help. You just need the willpower to get up. And some of y'all are being halted because you're waiting on somebody to help you to get to where you need to be. When Jesus is only, when all Jesus is saying is, if you would just take the effort to get up on your own 2 feet, he said, I'll do the rest. The text says, Jesus says, rise, take up thy bed and walk. Which now leads him, since he's made up his mind that he wants to change from his ways. He's sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now that he's made a change, now he ultimately has to make a choice. Some of you today need to realize that if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, not only do you need to make a change, but you also need to make a choice. Now it was choosing time. He could stay there and wait till the water's troubled again, or he could do what Jesus told him to do. He could just get up, take up his bed, and start walking. He made a choice. And he made the right choice because his choice brought on a miracle. His choice brought on the blessing of God. His choice brought him what God already had for him long before Jesus showed up in the text. In other words, this season of him walking had already been preordained before Jesus was even born there in Bethlehem. There was a season and a time that God was going to restore his legs, and today was the time. This was his choice, and he made the right choice. And that's what God does for us. Life is about choices. And if we choose to do the right thing, God has blessings waiting on us. Jeremiah says, I have thoughts of you, thoughts to prosper you and to bring you to an expected end and give you all the things. God wants to bless us, but listen, he can't bless us if we make the wrong choice. Every choice has consequences. And if it's not in the will of God, then we've got the answer for the choices in which we make. But if we make the right choice, God will bless us beyond reason. In other words, you don't know why a check came in the mail. You don't know why somebody's shaking your hand and got money in it. You don't know why your light bill is already paid and you know you didn't write no check this month. You don't know how God gonna do it. But when you make the right choice, God will start blessing you in ways you've never seen before. Who am I talking to in this place this morning? All you got to do is make the right choice. Text tells us, the Bible teaches us too that, God is a loving Father. In that, he wouldn't give us a stone for bread. No, he has a desire to give us the desires of our heart. And that's just the way a father is. He wants to do that for everybody. But we got to make sure that we're making the right choices. The first son, he wants to be grown. He talking grown stuff now. And I just I'm like, boy, you ain't grown. He's gonna be 22 in April, and so he's talking about this, daddy. Y'all still babying me. Y'all won't let me make decisions. I'm be like, son, I was 22. In fact, I married your mama when I was 22, and we were just little boys and girls. We ain't know nothing. We had to grow up together, and we wasn't ready. But God made a way. He kept us strong, taught us. We learned from one another. But I said, boy, I told him the same thing my daddy really told me. You ain't ready, son. You ain't grown. You ain't ready. Listen, just let us kind of coach you through this thing. And when the time comes, we're gonna let you go on. And when you call, we ain't gonna even answer the phone. We're going to be going on vacation. We ain't even answering the phone. We gonna be out on the sea somewhere and international call. We ain't going to accept none. And so, you better go on and grab this gravy while it's still on the table. Talk to me somebody. I know I got to go. I got to go. Let me say this. And then I'm going to cut this one off when I catch it. Come back tomorrow night. We'll finish it up. Come back tomorrow night. Let me tell you this. Early on, he decided he wanted to make good grades. He decided, he wanted to be an A student. That was his decision. He wanted to be an A student. And I said, that's good, son. He says, I like that. That's good. I said, there's a lot of opportunities. And he really was conscious about his grades. He didn't want bad grades. He didn't like it. If he made a bad grade, he was going to cry, all that stuff, all the way through school. And then when we got to high school, of course, they start looking at GPAs and all that and making sure that they're ready for college and all that. So, he was real conscious about his GPA because he wanted to be, in the top 10. In fact, now to be honest with you, he wanted to be number one. I mean, that was just his mentality. He wanted to be number one. He didn't quite make number one, but all through school, he made good grades, and we didn't have any trouble out of him. In fact, when we went to parent teachers conference, they would always say, "Mr. Currie, Miss Currie, we don't know why y'all are showing up. Malik's just fine. I wish we'd have some of these other parents that we need to talk to. I wish they would show up. Your son is fine." But I said, "No, listen, I expect him to make good grades." I said, "But I also want to know what he's doing. I want to know how his attitude is. I mean, because he can make all the good grades he wants, but if he don't know how to act, it's just as bad." And so I said, "No, we got to know how he doing." And I would show up to school, just in the middle of the day. He'd look up and see me there, and he'd drop his head because, I'm in the room. But, I would do that. But everything Malik wanted coming up, he got. And not because he was just the only child, but we just felt like it was just good to let him know we appreciate him not getting in trouble, making those good grades, doing well, just promoting him along the way. Wasn't nothing he couldn't get. Ain't nothing he could get. Nothing he couldn't get. In fact, when he got to the place to where, some of y'all ain't got there yet, but you're going to get there, where you have these shoes come every 6 months or every 3 months. These release dates on these shoes. If you ain't got there, it's coming. It's coming. Just let you know. Quan is coming. It's coming, man. It's coming. I'm telling you. Malachi. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they make shoes big enough for Malachi's feet. But when he did when he got to the point where he got to the age where his foot pretty much got settled, these release dates, he just about to have a fit over these release dates. And lo and behold, Dad would reach back and let him get them shoes. And so now, he got this whole big Rubbermaid box of retro shoes, and they still good because they don't get creases in them. They buy this little plate that goes in the top where you don't bend them, so they look brand new and they all still look good. But he got this big old box. Those were some of the things that we rewarded along the way. And so when he got to 17, we recognized that he was kind of in the top 5 of his grade of his group, and so we knew he was doing real well. So at 17, I bought him a car. Yeah, bought him a 2-seater convertible, man, just sharp. And every time I had the opportunity to get in it, I let the top back and let the sun blow on my scalp, Yeah, I paid for it. But I rewarded him because I didn't have any trouble out of him, and he was doing well. And lo and behold, when he graduated, he was in the top 5. I think he was like number 4. Got a scholarship to go to school, and not just a scholarship. He's in Houston now. He's in honors college, and he's gonna graduate with honors, and still doing wonderful. It's hard to stay up there, but he's staying up there. So guess what? He said, "Daddy, I'm tired of that 2-seater. Ain't enough room in it, and I can't move around in it, and I can't get nobody to ride with me." I said, "That's the reason I bought it." So just give y'all a hint, that 2-seater really worked. Ain't nobody ride in the 2-seater. But I began to think about it, and I said, well, let me go ahead and do this because, again, he's done well. And maybe if I get this one off me, I won't have to worry about him no more. So lo and behold, we traded the car in. Car I've been driving around here for the last 4 or 5 months is his. And so I'm just kind of getting all the bugs out of it. And I want to see how I look in it first, but because he's done so well, let me tell you, this is what a good father does. Because he's done so well, he's gonna drive that car back in a week, and it's his. Do whatever he want, go where he want, do how he want to do. But it was the choices that he made earlier that caused my heart to want to give him whatever he needed that he may continue to succeed. That's the same way God is. Listen, he wants us to succeed, but if we don't make the right choices, then God's not going to allow us to get where he wants us to get until we learn to make the right choice. And so I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to come back tomorrow night. Get y'all to come back tomorrow night because listen, you got, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, first of all, you got to realize that you're sick. Some of you don't want to admit that. First of all, you got to realize that you're sick. Second of all, you got to realize you got to make a change. Some things, you got to change your ad. If it means change your address, if it means change people you hanging around with, whatever change is, you need to make the change. But then you also got to realize you got to make a choice. Jesus made a choice before he even came here on earth. He made a choice to give his life for you and me. That's what he did one Friday. Listen, nobody twisted his arm. He made a choice to give his life for you and for me. And one Friday, he chose to die. Nobody made him die. Nobody forced him to die. He chose to die. Chose to be nailed by his hand. Chose to be put rivers in his feet. Chose to have a crown of thorns on his brow. Chose to be pierced in the side. Chose to hang there from the 6th to the 9th hour. Because he could have stopped at any time. He could have came down any time he wanted to. But he chose to stay right there. And he chose when the time was right between the 6th and the 9th hour. He chose to give up the ghost. He died one Friday. And he chose to stay in the grave 3 days. But early Sunday morning, I wish somebody knew something about Sunday morning. That's when he chose to get up and declare it all power. You got to make a change, but you also got to make a choice. That choice is Jesus. I offer you Christ today. To the unsaved, I offer you Christ today. Listen, you've been doing it your way. Just like this man, he's been doing it his way for 38 years and it didn't get him no luck. But then he made a choice to follow Christ. And his life was changed forever. If you're here today and you're not saved, today is a good day to make a change. If you're here today and you don't want heaven, don't want to miss heaven, make that change today. If you're here, make that choice. Because with Jesus, everything is made better. Your life will never be the same. Never be the same. In Jesus' name. If you're here today, you can come by letter. You can come as a candidate for baptism. You can come on your own Christian experience. Whatever the reason today. Don't go into 2019 without being saved. Don't go without having a church home. If you're here today, I extend an invitation for you to come. Officers, I see that there are none, but I want you to know that there is still room. Somebody said plenty good room in our Father's kingdom. Come on, give the Lord a hand clap of praise. Growing up as a child in my mother's care, my mother told me he would always be there. Oh my, now I'm a grown man, living on my own. Thank you, Lord, and I can truly say, Jesus, he ain't never left me alone. there anybody depending on him out there? Help us sing, oh Lord. I'm depending on you. If y'all don't mind this morning, let me say it just one more time. Grow in the best child. In my mother's care. My mother told me, you know what she said? Jesus, he'll always be right there. Oh my, now I'm a grown man. Living on my own. Thank you, Lord. I can truly say, Jesus, he never left me alone. Yeah. Oh Lord, I'm depending on you. Can I get a witness out there today? Oh Lord, I'm depending on you. Well, I'm depending on you. Can we get a witness out there? Anybody depending on the Lord today? I'm depending on you. Well, I'm depending. When my money gets funny, when my change gets strange, when my friend gets few, don't know what to do, I find out somebody I can lean on. I found me somebody I can lean on. Y'all want to know who I'm leaning on today? Y'all want to know who I'm leaning on today? Listen, I'm depending on Jesus. 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 Listen, y'all. I love you. Jesus. I want you. Jesus. I need you. Jesus. Gotta have Jesus. Lord, I want Jesus. I need you. Jesus. I love you. Jesus. Gotta have. 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 Jesus, do you know him? Jesus, do you know him? Jesus, do you love him? Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Somebody here know Jesus. Somebody here try Jesus. Somebody here know he's all right. Somebody here know he's all right. Jesus in the morning. Jesus in the evening, Jesus all day long, Jesus. I got to get out of here, but y'all know what? I love Jesus. I want you, Jesus. I need you, Jesus. Gotta have, 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 gotta have. Gotta have. Jesus, 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 yeah, Lord. I'm dependent on you. Come on and put those hands together and help us sing one more time. Oh, oh Lord. Dependent on you.
Yes, sir.
Come on and put the hand together and give God a hand clap of praise. If you're really dependent on him today.